All right, so you've got your EAMCET rank, and now comes the hard part, right? It feels like this huge, life-changing decision. But it's not just about picking a college name from a list. It's about picking a type of education. So today, we're going to break down two totally different ways to get that engineering degree. The good old EAMCET college path versus this newer, skill-focused model, like what you see at places like NIAT. Let's help you figure out which one actually fits you.
So that rank is in your hands. And man, it feels like everything, doesn't it? Like that one number is going to decide your whole future. And as you're scrolling through that list of colleges, you're not just picking a course, you're really choosing a philosophy for the next 4 years of your life. The thing is, there are two really different roads you can take. And honestly, it's not always obvious which one is the right one for you.
Okay, so when you really boil it down, this choice is all about two completely different ways of thinking. On one side, you've got the traditional path, what we're calling Syllabus-First. You know the drill. The main goal is to learn what's in the textbook, master the curriculum, and then prove you know it by passing exams. But then on the other side, you've got this new Skill-First model. This is totally different. It starts with the end goal, like landing a great tech job, and then works backward. It's all about teaching you the exact skills that companies are hiring for right now.
And you can see right here how those two philosophies play out in the real world. In a typical EAMCET college, your rank is your ticket in. That's it. The curriculum? It's all driven by the syllabus, which usually means a ton of theory, especially in those first couple of years. Now contrast that with a place like NIAT. They have their own entrance test, so it's not just about your rank. And the curriculum is skill-first from the get-go, meaning you're actually building stuff right from day one. And check out the faculty difference. Instead of only having traditional professors, you're also learning from tech mentors, people who are literally working in the industry today.
Look, tables and stats are great, but they don't really tell you what it feels like, right? So to make this super clear, let's follow the journey of two imaginary first-year students. Let's meet Raju, who got into a decent Tier 2 EAMCET college, and Sam, who decided to go with the NIT program.
Okay, picture this. It's 9 a.m. on a Monday. Where's Raju? He's in this big lecture hall, probably with 100 other students, just writing down definitions from a PowerPoint. What is a computer? The whole point is just to memorize this stuff for the internal exams. Now, at the exact same time, whereas Sam, he's in a workspace, laptop open, and he's actually building the login page for Netflix clone project. See the difference? He's not just learning about tech, he's doing tech.
All right, fast forward to 2 p.m. It's lab time. Raju's task is the classic Hello World program. But get this, before he can even touch a computer, he has to write the code out by hand in a record book and get a signature. I'm not kidding. Meanwhile, Sam's lab looks a lot more like a real tech office. He's hit a bug in his Python code. So what does he do? He does what every developer on the planet does. He asks for help on an internal forum, gets a tip from a senior mentor, fixes the code, and pushes it to his GitHub. He's learning how the industry actually works, not just memorizing syntax.
And this really shows you the different kinds of stress they're under. The night before a big exam, Raju is frantically flipping through a study guide, trying to memorize key questions. His success depends on how much theory he can dump onto the answer sheet. Sam's also pulling a late night, but he's stressed about a project deadline. His success isn't measured by how much he knows, but by whether his app is actually working and deployed. It's the difference between knowing and doing.
Okay, so you see these two completely different journeys. 4 years of this. So what's the payoff? What happens when it's all over and it's time to get a job? How do Raju and Sam stack up in a real interview?
So final year placements roll around. Raju finds himself in a huge hall for a mass recruitment drive with companies like TCS or Infosys. The first step, a generic aptitude test. He feels okay about the theory part, but he's sweating the actual coding challenge. Sam's job hunt looks totally different. He's applying to cool product-based startups, and his resume is basically his portfolio of over 10 apps he's built. When he gets an interview, it's not a test, it's a code review. They literally open up his projects and talk through his work with him.
Okay, let's talk about the big one, money, because none of this happens in a vacuum. A traditional EAMCET college is, let's be honest, way more affordable, especially if you qualify for government fee reimbursement, which can sometimes cover the whole thing. The NIAT model, on the other hand, is a serious financial commitment. It costs a lot more upfront, and those reimbursement schemes will only cover a small piece of it. For a lot of families, this right here is the deciding factor, and that's totally understandable.
So what's the ROI? For Raju, coming out of a typical Tier 2 college and getting picked up by a mass recruiter, the starting salary is usually going to be around 3.5 LPA. And look, that's a solid, stable start. It's the standard entry point for the big IT services companies.
Now for Sam, the potential payoff is a lot bigger. With that strong portfolio, he's looking at a target salary somewhere in the 6 to 10 LPA range, usually from a product company. But, and this is a huge but, it is not a guarantee. That number is a direct result of his own hard work and the quality of his projects. The higher cost comes with a much higher expectation of personal commitment. You got to put in the work.
So we've laid out two very different paths. The big question is, which one is for you? And look, there's no magic answer here. The best choice really depends on your situation, what you want to achieve, and how you like to learn. So let's walk through a quick framework to help you decide.
All right, let's talk about when the normal EUCET college route is probably the right move. First off, if you nailed the EMCET with a top rank, say under 10K, and you can get into a top-tier college, go for it. The brand name on that degree is powerful. Second, if money is a real concern and you're counting on that full fee reimbursement, then this is the most logical and practical option. And hey, if you really want that classic college experience, the huge campus, the festivals, the big friend groups, then the traditional path is where you'll find it.
Now, when should you seriously look at a model like NIAT? Well, if your rank puts you in a position where you're looking at Tier 3 colleges with shaky placement records, this could be a game changer. It's a great option if your family can afford the investment, which is around 10 to 12 lakhs total. And really, this is for people who just love to code and can't wait to start building things. But you've got to be honest with yourself. It's an intense boot camp-style program. You need to be super self-disciplined because it's a real grind, and it's not for everyone.
So, in the end, it all comes down to one question. And I want you to really think about this. Are you going to college to train for an exam? Or are you going to build for a career? Your answer to that question tells you everything you need to know. Whatever you choose, good luck.